Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is the third video in the Robotic Enterprise Framework series. In this video, we will be covering the third state of the RE framework, which is the process transition state. Okay, in this state, all this processing of this our workflow happens, and we'll be seeing each and every activity in detail. So let's get started. So this project was about the RE framework and how we can use it inside RPA challenge website. Our task was to write all these text fields with the help of a queue. That this data was provided here in the site in the form of Excel, but we are using UiPath orchestrator queues here to input the data, and all the data will be procured from the queues. So for that we already made a queue over here. Let me just quickly show you guys. Um, yep, so it's opening. So here we can see we have a queue RPA challenge, and you guys can see that we are having the items over here. These two were abandoned because I ran the program in the previous video, and see it's abandoned because it's more than 24 hours now. So it's being abandoned over here. Okay, so let's get back to it. So let's explain the process transition state, that is the third state. This is the main state, guys. Okay. Okay. So it's written that in this state, process a single transaction. Only one transaction will be processed per, you know, this taking all the transaction from a batch. This is the batch, right? This is a batch. So a single transaction means single this thing. This thing will be processed at once, right? Let's go view details, and it's like first name will be enter Lara, Palmer, time pass, etc. Like whatever the details are here, it will be entered in a FIFO fashion, that is first in, first out fashion. And guys, one more thing I like to highlight, that I'll be using English and Hindi both in my videos, so it will be a mixed videos, right? For now, from now onwards. So, and yeah, let's go. So, in the process transaction state, we are in the entry box right now. Okay, it's trying to use a try to process transaction, means this is a try catch, and inside the try catch we have a assign activity over here, which is showing business exception is nothing. Means here we are initializing our business exception variable, which has been pre defined by the framework, and we are saving the value nothing to it. Means for this instance there is no business exception over here, right? Okay, and now we are invoking the process flow workflow. Inside this, all the process of the workflow will be happening over here only, right? Inside this invoke workflow process. Okay. Okay, so now we have used the type into activity over here, and we have also indicated the text field, and the anchor was itself indicated by the modern design, right? So now what we have to do, we have to procure this transaction item details from the queue. For example, we are using this, so we need to procure this details over here, right? We need to be procuring this first name, last name, company name, role in company, everything from the this queue, and this is a type of object that we need to convert it at the end of the list line as a string, right? So what we can do, I have told in the previous video also, to procure any item for the queue items. From the queue items we can use the specific content and the get value default of method to procure the items from the queue. So let's get into it. So for doing that we need to be this, like for example, we don't have anything here, so we need to be creating an argument over here, that will be an in argument, which will be taking the values inside, that will be called as tran item. and that argument type will be queue item, and that is the this thing UiPath.core.queue item. So if you need to select queue items and you need to create a new queue item over here, you can uh, create like this UiPath.core.queue item will be the data type of this specific argument. Okay, let's save our workflow and go to the parent workflow and click on import, and we have our transaction item over here, right? So this is what this is pushing the value inside of it, and this is in transaction item because it's also getting the value from the transaction item, that is the global variable, right? That transaction item value is getting the value from out transaction item, right? And which was inside the get transaction data state, right? This is it. So now we'll be using the in transaction item here also to procure the data from the queue. Let's use just the specific content method. Then we have to use the value, get value or default of what we need to do. We need to write as first name, and this is an object, so it will be requiring this string format only. Let's convert it into a string. Okay. So, like this, what I can do, I can fill all these things, all this, give it names, give it fields and anchors, and provide this thing over here. This thing is nothing, an expression just to procure the data out of a queue item. Okay, this is how we procure the data out of a queue item from orchestrator, and we can convert it to a string because see, this field is expecting a string only. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna fill all this thing up with the details and then get back to you. Okay, so I have labeled this fields and also initialize the type into activity over here. You guys can see, for example, this is the role in company, like we have to type role in company, so it's the role in company text field selected and the anchor is selected role in company here as well. Okay, and this is the expression over here, guys, as you guys can see, specific content dot get value or default role in company dot string. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to add two clicks also over here. I'll let you know why, because just one second. Yeah, as you can see that on every successful transaction, on every transaction, after every transaction, we have to press submit also, right? And the other click is to start this process, right? So one click at the start and one click at the end. Submit, enter. So it's validating selection now and it's taking it. And one click should be this click, this start. Okay. So with this, our workflow is complete regarding the process activity. I'll be explaining the rest of the components over there as well. Okay, let's go with process. So it's completed now. And what we can do, we can use a log message over here stating what we can do. We cannot use here, we can use at the end. After submit, we can use this, that process ended for the current transaction, leave it as it is. Okay. Okay, so we have invoked it and this is our process, this whole process, right, for the current transaction. Cool. Okay, let's close this and close this as well. Let's go with the process thing now. I have to explain the rest of the process, how we can increment the transaction number over here and how we can set the status of the transaction item. Okay. So we were here in the try block, right? We were here in the this thing, the try block of this, and inside of this, we have completed this in work process workflow. Okay, now we have another try catch inside the try block. As you can see, don't be confused by this, guys. As you can see that this is a whole try block. This is a whole try block. This is process the current transaction item try block. Okay, and inside of this, we have one try which is having a sequence which is containing another try catch. Okay, and in the catch section, we have two exception. First is the business exception, and the second is the system exception. If I'll go into this, so in the catch section also we have a this thing. See, I'll let you know from this. Second, yeah, let's start from here. We have completed this. Okay, we have completed this thing over here now. We have already done the process. Now let's come to the. We are into this try block only right now also. Okay. Okay, so now we have again used a try block inside a try block, and this is what to set the transaction status to success. Now let's open this workflow here as well. Okay, this is not complex, it's just looking like a complex thing, but it's not complex. So it's saying that set and log the transaction status along with extra fields. There can be three possible status, that is success, business exception, and system exception. So what are these things? These are these things what I've told you. Second, success means the transaction has been successfully processed. System exception means your application is not working or it has been freezed. Business exception means that there is a business threshold that has been set by a business owner or a process owner over there, like whoever is the client, and yeah, you have to like customized. You have to custom, initialize an expression using a throw activity, right? Over there, you can grant a business exception over here, right? Let's get again inside of it. Okay, so this workflow is basically doing increment of the this your queue statuses, right, to success. Okay, or business exception or system exception, right? This is doing that. Okay, let's go. This is start. It's showing that business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing. For example, if it's saying that it's taking these values from these input arguments, if in business exception is nothing and in system exception is nothing, means this activity over here, second, means this activity over here didn't through any business or system exception, right? Because it's using an and operator between them, so we'll have to check both. If it will be using an or operator, so any of the following will be throwing an exception, it will be working. Okay, so as you can see that over here we have business exception equal to nothing. Okay, so it's saying that if business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing, then what will be happening? It will be going to the true branch, and it's saying if the transaction item is processed without any exception, its status is updated as successful. Okay, let's go inside this sequence. And here we have some sequences here as well. Okay, let's go inside of that. If the transaction item is processed without any exception, the status is updated as successful. So it's saying that in transaction item is not nothing, means transaction item is something, and also in transaction item dot get type is get type UiPath dot co dot cap. Now don't get confused by this complex statement over here or expression. This is nothing. This is just checking that our in this transaction item is of type Q item or not. Okay, so it's saying that if transaction item is something and this transaction item is of type Q item, then only it will be going inside of this try catch and it is encapsulated within a retry scope as well. Okay, and then it will be setting the transaction status to successful. Over here you can see here we are only mentioning the folder path and transaction item here as well. Okay, and in the catch section we have a log message activity only here using the exception as a parameter. We could not set the transaction status exception dot message. It will be only showing the message out of an exception at source exception dot source. Cool. And the log label is won. It will be showing in the red lines. And again in the catch section it's saying rethrow could not set status success if only if there is this condition is not met. Okay, and it's throwing an error over here. Then our this control will be going over to the catch set transaction set in the exception case and doing the needful. Okay. Now it's saying log success with additional logging fields includes custom log fields to log the message. This is just an additional activity over. This not contributing to the workflow because it's just an additional logging activity. They are if they are removed after logging to prevent duplicated status messages about a single transaction. Okay, so we have a this activity over which is adding something to dictionary. Add transaction log fields. 5 items in dictionary. Let's see. So it's saying that the collection of string arguments to be added to every subsequent log line. Log f transaction status, we have to set it the value success because see this is a dictionary format string. Okay, and the argument is dictionary format of key is string and the argument is in argument. Sorry, the value is in argument. Okay, this is the key transaction number. The argument is IO transaction number to string. Right, this is self-explanatory, right? Okay. Using a log message saying log message success to string. Okay, remove transaction log field success. We are also removing all these log fields. And why we are removing? Because after logging to prevent duplicated status messages about a single transaction. Cool. Okay, let's get inside of this thing. Okay, we were in the success sequence and this thing is going inside increment transaction. Now it's what doing, it is incrementing the transaction number whenever our set transaction status is set to successful over here. We are taking the condition of successful over here, right? What it's doing, it's using an assign activity to increment the transaction number by 1. This is transaction number, pretty simple. And it's also resetting the counter. Reset the counter of retries to allow the next transaction to be retried at the current amount of times. Okay. So this our we are saving the value 0 over it. IO retry number. And here it is doing reset the counter of consecutive system exception. We are also resetting the counter of consecutive system exception by providing the value 0 to the consecutive system exceptions variable. That is an input output argument. Means okay. Okay. And now if business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing, for example, now if it this thing is not fulfilled, means there is some exception over here false, so it's saying that now it's checking that whether it is business exception. See, if it will be a business exception out of this, it will be going true, otherwise it will be a system exception, right? Because there are only two type of exception in RE framework, business and system. Okay, so if it's a business exception, like if this condition in business exception is true, it will be going inside a business exception and it's saying that if a business rule exception is thrown during the process, the transaction item status is updated as failed, exception type business. Okay, and again it's using this thing to increment the value. And let's go inside the sequence. It's also like checking the same condition in the previously used sequence and the successful suc- item queue item status, right? Okay, it is inside the retry scope as well. And here we are also using a set transaction status, and that is failed. And reason it is business exception dot message, right? It's in the try block of the try catch section. And if this thing has not been set in the queue in the orchestrator, it's saying that could not set the transaction status, eh, procuring the message out of the exception and the source out of exception as well, where it is and what message it is throwing. Okay, again using a rethrow to again rethrow that same exception in the try catch block if it's throwing that. Sorry guys, I'm yawning. Actually, it's 1:36 making the video, and this is the same thing in the successful block as well. Okay, now we come to the system exception. Consecutive system exception counter is, it's showing the counter over here, like at which number it is currently running on this system exception counter. If a system exception occurred during the process, the transaction item status is updated failed as failed, exception type as application. Okay, this is self-explanatory, guys. It's saying that it's using an assign activity to assign the query retry variable this thing. Okay, it is also checking that if it is nothing, right? If it's something, sorry, if the transaction item is something and transaction item is of type Q item, then will be this value will be saved to Q retry, right? Again, it's showing over there that we're gonna be taking the screenshot of the this faulty application and save it. Take a screenshot of the current state of the screen to facilitate debugging. Workflow file name. Now this will is an invoke file name, invoke workflow file name, which is used to take a screenshot. Okay, let's go inside of it. And it's a trial block, right? Okay. Take and save a screenshot, capture a screenshot, log its name and location and save it with the PNG extension. If no specific file path is passed as argument, it saves the image in the folder specified in folder. Okay, so it's saving this screenshot with the PNG extension over here, and if no specific file path is passed, it saves the image in the folder specified by the in folder name. Okay, so this is it's taking the screenshot over here. If no screenshot file path is available, so it's saying that if string is null or empty, means string was not provided with any argument over here, right? Then what it's doing, it's using a VB.NET feature to combine the path. That is, it is combining the in underscore folder path to the exception screenshot, and we are like using on which date and which time and which hour which second it was using and converting it to a PNG format. Here it is, .png. Pretty simple, guys. And now it's initializing the screenshot file info, that what is the new in screenshot file info. It's initializing that by using the new file info IO file path. Again, using an if condition over here, if screenshot folder does not exist, create it. Now if the screenshot folder is not existing, we have to create it. So it's saying that directory dot exist screenshot file info dot directory name. Okay, and it's saying not. So it's checking that if it's not existing, then it will only creating. It's create directory screenshot file info dot directory name. Simple, guys. Taking the screenshot by using the take screenshot activity, and we are providing the image as screenshot only. The name is screenshot provided as screenshot only, guys. We are again using a log message activity, right, to uh, let you guys know in the output that the screenshot is saved as IO underscore file path. Okay, this is done. Okay, so we have also taken the screenshot, and now we are coming to the catch section, and it's saying that if it was not able to take the screenshot, and it's saying fail to take screenshot. exception dot message at source, exception dot source at source, and exception dot tournament is showing the message and the source of the this property that which was not able to get the screenshot. Okay. Now, if it's saying that if transaction item is a queue item in system exception, so there is a condition queue retry over here. We have also initialized it, right? If this thing is this, like if it's a transaction item and it's a queue item, like if transaction item is something and it's a queue item, then we are saving this into queue retry for easy, access. And now it's saying set transaction status system exception. Now we can use inside a try block, which like it is, and set transaction status is to failed, right? And it's using a string dot format function, and it is using message and the source to you know write over there in the output file using string dot format method. And after this, it is again using the retry number by in dot transaction item dot retry number. So what it's doing over here, it is assign retry number from queue. It is assigning a retry number from the queue. It's simple, guys. And it's a cache section of this child retry and the child try catch block. It is this is saying that could not set the status, means could not set the failed status of the system exception. Then it's showing a log message and is also rethrowing this error that was caught in the try section. And now this thing was same, guys, for this thing, right? At transaction log field, this was I explained it to you guys in the this successful system transaction status. Okay, increment consecutive exceptions counter means this is incrementing the system exceptions counter by one. You can see it, right? And it's over here showing retry the current transaction, like we are using invoke workflow activity to retry the current transaction workflow status over here. And let's open this. Okay, this is also not complex, guys, just a normal flowchart showing its flow. Okay, now it's saying about this workflow, it is manage the retrying mechanism for the framework, and it is invoked in the set transaction status dot sample when a system exception occurs. Okay, the retrying method is based on the configurations defined in the config.xlsx. Let's see. It's starting and it's saying that this condition over here is that it is using max retry number. So guys, max retry number was what? Let you know, guys. Max retry number is this first thing in the consent sheet, saying that must be 0 if working with the orchestrator queues. If greater than 0, the robot will retry the same transaction which failed with a system exception. Must be an integer value. Okay, if you are working with queues, so it should be 0. If it's more than 0, the robot will be trying the same exception, same this transaction which failed with the system exception. Okay, and it should be an integer value. That's why it's showing over here that this condition over here that it should be greater than 0. Okay, this thing is greater than 0. If this thing is greater than 0 and we are converting into int y, we have to compare with this value, right? If this thing is greater than 0, then what is there? Max retry reached. So it's saying that if our this thing, which thing? Our this, 1 second. Yeah, our max retry number is greater than 0 and it's written over here in the config file. If it is greater than 0, the robot will retry the same transaction is failed in the system exception, right? So if it's greater than 0 over here in the retry transaction, as you can see, it is Then it's again asking for a flow decision activity, and the second condition is over here. It is saying that IO retry number is greater than equal to convert to in config max retry number. Means this thing, max retry number is smaller than our IO retry number, like input output retry number, right? It's checking if this thing also is true. So it's saying that with a log message, see over here. Okay, it's saying that log message application exception. We are procuring this out of the config file. Let's see what it is. Uh, yeah, log message underscore application extension exception, and this will be getting the value of system exception. Saying a static part of logging message process transaction failed with application exception. Okay, this will be showing there. It's saying the max number of retry reached in the, showing the message, and it shows showing the exception source that where it's originating. Okay, let's go with cancel. Again, we are resetting the counter to 0 over here, right? This retry counter. Now again, we are input incrementing our transaction number, right? Just 1 second. To 1, incrementing it to +1 over here. Okay, and if this thing, this condition like retry number is greater than equal to the max retry number. Okay, if it this thing is there, so what it's happening now, this will be going towards this branch, log message branch, right? If this thing doesn't match, it doesn't fulfill, so it will going to the no branch, and it's saying that this condition over here. It's saying that system exception, it will be procuring this value from here, and it's saying that system exception plus retry means the retry number, which retry it was, and showing again the message and the source. Okay, I'll be showing each and everything in the flow. Don't worry, guys, in the local section of the debug panel. And it is again using a flow decision. If it's saying that use orchestrator retry, means it's if it's using the Q retry option in the orchestrator, right? If it's using yes, then again it's incrementing the this value by 1, increment number by 1. Okay, and if it's not using, then it is incrementing retry number by 1. Okay, guys. Okay, so over this thing, retry current transaction workflow has been completed. Let's get here. Now it's just using the remove transactional activities, right? Which will be treated as duplicate. Now we are again using a try catch. It's saying that try closing applications, close all the application before returning to the initialization state and opening them again. If application cannot be closed, kill their respective processes, right? First you have to close like the applications, and if they're not closing, then use a click. Sorry, then use a kill process activities over here. Okay. Now we're invoking this. Close all applications workflow. Do the necessary procedures for ending the process. That means log out and close the used applications. So what it will be doing? It will be closing all the applications over here, right? In this uh, workflow. And in the catch thing of this try block, we'll be using all applications failed. Just the log message over here, like showing the message and the source of the exception. Now we are inside this catch section, and inside the catch section we have another try section which is showing the try killing processes, right? So if this thing also throws an error, it will be caught by the catch section. This is the beauty of ReFramework, guys, right? It's saying that all these mechanisms of killing process should be encapsulated over here. And one more thing, guys, we are invoking this set transaction status file three times in this workflow. First is for success, second is for a business rule exception, that is the BRE, and third is for a system exception, right? Okay, this thing I have already told you guys over here, right? Okay, so guys, this was the process state, and let's quickly run this workflow. First, let me go to here, demo, and again, just reinitialize a queue. Delete this quickly, guys. Remove it. And just add a queue. Add it like this. Run the dispatcher workflow. Right, our queue has been populated. Again, open the ReFramework demo and just run the bot in the debug mode. It will be stopping in the get direction data state. Okay, so it has been stopped and it has opened the RPA challenge website that was initialized in the init all applications. Okay, let's get step into just getting the transaction data now. You can see in the out, one second, you can see in the out transaction data this is null, and now after this it will be something. And what is something? Something is John Smith. Okay. So now we're in the process transition state. This is where the processing of this workflow happens in the RPA challenge site. Okay, let's go very slowly here, guys. Seeing this variables also over here. Okay, we have a transaction item in the queue item state, and it has picked the first transaction, that is the John Smith name. Okay, go inside of it. So it's saying that a business exception should be nothing. Okay, null it is here. It's invoking the process workflow now. Now let's press step out. Automatically, it will be automatically doing it. And doing the email also now. Waiting for round 2. Okay. Now this invoke process workflow has been completed. Now let's get to the set direction status as successful. Then only it will be set it as successful in the orchestrator queue. It's checking that if this is successful or not. If this is successful or not. Obviously successful. See over here we can see that this is the transaction number 1. Step into transaction is successful. Now it is incrementing the transaction over here, guys. You can see it will be incrementing it by 1, and it set the counter of retries to allow the next transaction to be retried at the current amount of times. Now as you can see, it's processing transaction number 2. One thing that I would like to highlight, yes, that what we can do, we can use this first start in the initialization state, because see, it won't be finding the start button every time, because we have not see, this is not finding the start button again and again. So what we can do, we can just cut this like this and go in the main section, initialization section, and here when we initialize our application, we can initialize this thing as well in the workflow. Okay, do, in the do section we can paste it like press this start. Okay, the thing is fine. So let me just run the bot again. This time I'll be running it. I'll be quickly showing you guys the output as well. So you guys can see how effectively this is, getting absorbed in the text fields by using the RE framework, and the round was also incrementing round 4. Round 7 now. I must say it's pretty fast. That was round 8 because we have already done 2 transactions before, right? So if I'll be going over here, right? So you guys can see that in the transactions, it is showing successful. Only one thing was in progress because we stopped that transaction over there in Jane Dorsey, right? So this thing was set by this thing in set transaction status framework, right? One second, which is inside the process transaction data, this thing. Okay, so guys, this was it about the RE framework process state, and I'll be explaining more about RE framework. We'll be doing many projects in RE framework regarding this, and I'll be quickly showing you guys one thing also. Let's go with this end process over here, right? What we can do, we can define a process to close this workflow as well, this thing, right? So if I'll go here, it will be closing this applications or close all applications was invoked in init and here as well, right? If it's failed to close all application, then it will be killing that process, right? This is not recommended. This is recommended many times in close, not kill. So this was it, guys. A small this insight on the process transaction set, and with this, our framework series has been completed. Now we'll be picking up with much more complex projects, right? So stay tuned, guys. And if you like the channel, like the content, like the way that I am teaching you guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And मैंने कहा था guys that we will be doing this in हिंदी also, तो हम हिंदी में भी इसको लेके आ रहे हैं आपके साथ, ठीक है सर? Some guys can't understand English, they can go with Hindi, Some kinds can't have the English, they can go with English, right? Okay, so अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लगे तो don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues, right? Share it with the people who want to know about RPA more, specifically in the UiPath, right? And thank you so much. And as always, keep learning.